Well, hello YouTubers, and we are making a video of how to put a drive belt on a Husqvarna YTH 24V54XLS. This has got the Kawasaki 24, pretty good engine. The problem I've been having is the drive belt's slipping, and we're changing that out. So this is the first time I've ever done it. And I was like, well, let's make a video in case I mess up. I'll know what to do. So, of course, the first step is get it jacked up and remove the mowing deck, which is over there. 54 inches is a lot for one person, but hey. Again, this is the first time I've tried putting a drive belt on a Husqvarna. Okay, well, let's start it off. One of the first things I'm going to do is remove this cover to expose the wiring harness, the wire that goes to the PTO. This tie will have to be cut because we're going to have to pull this down through, because this is connected to the PTO, which I'll show you, and the belt has to go through there. So we're going to pull that down through in just a second. Next, we need to remove this 14mm screw and this bar right here. Alright, so we've got this bar and 14mm screw. What it does, this kind of sits down into the drive or the PTO, and it keeps it from turning. On a John Deere, it's normally on the other side of my John Deere L120. Okay. Like I said, the next step is to make sure we cut this tie, pull this down through so we can get the belt over it. And we'll get to that in just a second. As you can see, you just press on both sides of the wiring harness right here, and it'll pop loose like that. Pretty easy to put back together. We'll just kind of get it out of the way. Now I'm going to have to cut this. See if I can get my needle nose pliers through there. Okay. And that separates that harness. Now we're going to push it down through here. And let's see if we can get a better look at it. You can see where it goes into the top. Well, now you notice the whole assembly will turn. That's because we took loose the keep. Pretty easy to put back together. Now we need to get up in there and remove the belt. Kind of gives you a look, a close up. And there's the belt. There's the pulley. Turns the drive belt. That turns everything else. And it's kind of hard to see where the wire plugs in, but we're not worried about that. We're just worried about getting the belt over this, over the whole assembly here, so we can change it out. If you notice, there's a black bar, and it is a guide to, when there's no tension on the belt. It's a guide to keep the belt on. But from a little bit of internet research, they said it will squeeze through without taking that off. Of course, if we have to take it off, it looks like there's some bolts right there. But that looks tough to get to. Maybe an extension. I don't know, 1/4 inch. But anyway, okay, we're going to go underneath, and we're going to try to slide this belt off this part. Okay, now we're underneath looking at the front, and if you notice that bar is pretty tight, and I would think if I'm putting a belt on, it may damage it if I have to force it, but I really don't want to move this bar. It's looking a little bit more complicated than. I don't want to take a bunch of stuff off just to get this belt off. So I'm going to try a shortcut and try to get this belt off. Oh yeah, it's going to slip by. I'm going to have to use both hands and turn the camera off for a moment. Well, I'm finding it hard to get it past the black bar. I thought there would be some bolts to secure in the guide, this thing here. So what I'm going to do is come back here to where the belts are, and I'm going to take loose the belt. As you can see, it's everything down through here is pretty simple. Not much to take out. The fan is got these rubber, they're flimsy, but you don't want to break them off because, believe me, if they're needed to cool. But I'm pretty sure I can get it all the way around here. That is way simple. Okay, now I got all this belt hanging down. Pulleys. I mean, there's only one way this belt can go back on. If you notice, on some tractors, the steering cog or the steering mechanism or the pinion or whatever you want to call it, usually the belt goes on one side and the other side. It kind of splits it, but not on this Husqvarna. If you notice, here's the steering column right here, and this wheel, this wonderful wheel made of plastic, is going to guide it around the steering column, so we don't have to take that out. Thank you, Jesus. But right now the hard part is getting it over this black guide. Now I've got all kinds of slack, so I can push and pull a little bit. If you notice, the belt is not in good condition. It's frayed, it's broken, it's stretched. When I run it, when I take the brake off and engage the blades, it's so much vibration. This belt is so loose, it's smacking up against everything, making all kinds of racket. I don't like that. So we're replacing the drive belt. Alright, I'm going to feed a lot of this belt up this way, and where I can get a little more leverage and pull it in between the this front wheel and this guide rod here, which as I'm looking, there's not really, it looks like a lot of stuff would have to be taken off to get this off, and I am not going to tear all this out. There's no way. What kind of video would that be? Okay. Alright, again, this is my first attempt at taking one off and putting the belt back on. And I'm going to turn the camera off and do some work on this and try to get some leverage. Okay, with a little bit of leverage and the belt slid right past it. A little pop, and I could cut the belt and make it simple, but how am I going to learn anything if I don't see how to take a belt off and put a belt, to put the belt back on? So, let's give us some light, shed some light on the subject. Again, right. It's hard to get an angle here. There, that rod. Right here. Can't tell. Can't even tell if I'm in focus, but it's this guide right here. Okay, now I got it off that side. Now it's still up on the other side of the guide, and I assume it's going to come off just as easy. So I'm going to give it a shot. Alright, I was making it tougher than what it appeared to be. If you notice this right here, if I can get to it, I'm trying to show you. Let me get a better angle on it. Right there. Okay, right here is the guide rod that stays on the outside of the belt, which basically causes it to, the boat gets loose to stay on the pulley if it tries to jump off. At first I looked at this and I thought the weld was broke, but if you notice, it moves. So that makes this job incredibly easy. Probably the hardest part of doing this job is just, you know, getting the wiring harness unplugged and getting the little the PTO lock that we took off first. You know, getting it. But anyway, this is elementary. Really, really easy. A lot easier than the John Deere L120 that's sitting right beside me here. Okay, I'm gonna feed the belt over this right here. Kind of run it up. That way we can get it off. Make it super simple. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So easy. Oh yeah. And with one hand. Awesome. Do this stuff yourself, people. With one hand, look. The belt is off.